And so I'm not, going to speak to everything. There's a lot of just not true things, half true things, wild things going around out there. But what it comes down to, that's, I guess, basically the kernel of truth behind everything, is there is a reality, that there is a man that used to be trusted by some of the people that we look to and respect, Mary and Eli and so many of other leaders, that it turns out was not trustworthy. And so this is, for Sam Houston Chi Alpha, we, several years ago, distanced from him because he was convicted of some crimes. But we had basically believed, so he had been a spiritual influence on a lot of people that we really looked to, and I mean, he's, said a lot of true things, and but was apparently also up to a lot of not good things at the same time that were never known about. And then when basically there was allegations coming out and basically insisted, like, this is all completely false, this is the enemy, like, attacking all these things. And so basically our friends who knew this person and loved this person at the time trusted him and believed him, and it's basically coming out now there's even more things. So back then he took basically he was being accused of some crimes and took a plea bargain on some things, while the whole time maintaining to everybody, this is not true at all, this is not true at all. He's just doing it to try to cut the court cases and make it not this whole big painful process for everybody involved and just move on. Even though in hindsight it seems like that's kind of silly, but at the time, basically we trusted him and he was not trustworthy, and more things are coming out now that are basically showing this has actually been really, really bad. And so, all I have to say, that's kind of in the background of this, and there's a lot going around, and that is going to probably affect us somewhat, because at this point, if someone Googles any of our Chi Alphas, it's going to pop up probably. There's a whole website that's basically created to air grievances with Chi Alpha. I'd advise you not to go look at it. It's kind of nasty. There's a lot of, like I said, a lot of people saying a lot of terrible things, a lot of which are not true. There is some grain of truth in this thing, that this person who's not actually a part of Chi Alpha but had just been influential in some people's lives years ago was doing some very bad things. Okay, and that's all pretty heavy. There's some legal things going on around that, so we can't go into too many details. But to say that that is true, and that is really, really been heartbreaking for a lot of us walking through that. And I really believe the enemy is trying to use this to really derail what God wants to do. And I know, if we've been around here, we've been feeling the Lord's been speaking a lot of things and moving in a lot of really powerful ways here. And it's basically like there's this old word from the 70s, right, that this evangelist spoke over our campus. You guys in Sam Houston, I think, are familiar with this if you've been around staff at all. And I think a lot of our students have heard about it too. But basically that this picture of this fountain overflowing and spilling all over our campus, and this water going into every building and touching every place, and that being a picture of the Holy Spirit moving so thickly on our campus that they'd actually have to stop operations, like cancel classes and stuff, because it would be so heavy. And that word came in the 70s originally, and has kind of sprung back up this year. And we've been, from several sources, feeling the kind of prophetic of the Lord speaking that is, basically he's wanting to fulfill that. And so, so basically we've been really prayerful, really expectant, and there's a lot to expect. And I don't think it's a coincidence that there's this really, really big attack, taking this grain of truth and this bad thing, this bad one person has done, and trying to blow up a lot of things with it. And so, yes, I would recommend not looking at the website. It's probably, those sorts of things always kind of affect our like curiosity and stuff like that, and even morbid curiosity, like what are people saying? But really it's probably going to make you angry. It's probably going to there's just not a lot of good that can come from it. It's not worth engaging with. It's not worth trying to respond to any of those things. It's just not worth doing that. What's true will come out and will be dealt with, and what's not true, the Lord is sovereign. He's with us. A little encouragement. This has been a verse that I think the Lord has brought to me that I've kind of been reflecting on. This is from Proverbs 3, verse 25 and 26. It says, do not be afraid of sudden terror or of the ruin of the wicked when it comes. For the Lord will be your confidence and will keep your foot from being caught. And this comes in Proverbs 3 and kind of goes all the way back to kind of at the front of that chapter. It says, trust not in your understanding. Lean on the Lord, He will make your path. I think I just butchered that. Anyway, basically, when we trust in the Lord and lean on Him, we do not need to be afraid of the ruin of the wicked, even though there is potential. There's a lot of things up in the air right now, but the Lord is sovereign, and He is over this. And what Satan wants to use to destroy us will not destroy what God is doing, right? And so, yeah, I just wanted to address that and mention that. And as you guys are support raising, just in all honesty, it's probably going to be a thing that comes up, and it's probably going to have an effect. Because if anybody Googles Chi Alpha, they're going to see it, unfortunately, right now. But that does not change anything. And if God has called us, He's called us, and He's the one who provides. And like we talked about last time, we can have assurance that if He's called us, He will provide, and we can walk in that. We wanted to open up by just addressing it. We don't want to just not say anything about it. And like I said, a lot of you probably are familiar, have already heard things, maybe even had people ask you about it. Maybe haven't even known what's going on. But yeah, does anybody have any questions about any of this before we move on? I don't want to just rush through this. So yeah.
I guess what would you say would be like the proper response to like if someone does ask about it, like what would be like the appropriate response?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, I think, don't try to don't just try to downplay it or minimize it or hide from it. There's legitimately some bad things did happen with this person. Again, he's not affiliated with Chi Alpha, never has been. He's only was a friend and kind of influence on a lot of our older people in the past before they knew about this stuff. And I can pretty confidently tell you that none of those people involved with Chi Alpha knew this stuff was actually happening at all. And it would have changed things dramatically if they did. Okay, and I know that's a lot of the accusations being thrown around. It's like, oh, they knew, they were part of it, whatever. That part is not true. At most, maybe guilty of just being too trusting and not, maybe being intelligent to, don't know everything and just were trusting of somebody who is not actually trustworthy. And so you can affirm that, Chi Alpha, no one in Chi Alpha knew this and would have not, and as soon as everyone in Chi Alpha has found out about it, they immediately responded by distancing and listening to authority and actually even getting the police involved in some cases. But yeah, so there is some truth that there is an individual who kind of externally was an influence that had some bad things going on that no one knew about. And there's a whole legal situation being resolved still, so it's not, it's not totally free to just talk freely about. And I don't know everything, I'm not that tied to it, but just kind of tertiarily aware of what's going on. But I think if someone asks, you can say that that's true. I don't know about what other random accusations might be thrown out on this website, but we can we can confidently say no one in Chi Alpha was aware of any of this, and as soon as anyone was aware of it, they distanced. And Sam Houston has been distanced from this person since that conviction several years ago. I think before, probably, I don't know if any of you guys were around as students or anything at that point. It's probably before any of you guys were here, but yes, we've distanced from that person since then. And so you can just answer it honestly. If people are distrustful, they're distrustful, but we just trust the Lord, and yeah. Any other questions? Gerson, did you have a question?
I did. So this happened here at Sam, or just a Chi Alpha?
No, it did not happen here. It's a person who has lived in Houston the whole time, but was just a friend and influence on some people here. Was doing some things that were bad. Put it that way, and no one on Chi Alpha knew about it. And so they trusted this person, and even at times years ago would bring other college students to like talk with this person who'd been an influence on them, but without any knowledge of any of this had happened or was happening or any of that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that they were not ever here. They were not ever affiliated with Chi Alpha in any actual way, besides just being a friend of some people. Does that make sense? Yeah, sure.
So at Sam Houston, we have this beautiful thing. You are going to be an intern at Sam Houston, so that shrinks Chi Alpha down for you when you're talking with a supporter or anything like that. And what you can honestly, with all trust and confidence, say is that Sam Houston, as soon as they found out about the conviction, distanced and cut it and drew a line. And you can say that. It's like, it's all of this is like adults visiting a house, and we don't control one another if adults want to visit the house. But you can say that Sam Houston distanced yourself. I have no idea who that guy is. My campus pastor does not see that guy. You can say all of those things with all confidence. Does that feel good?
Yeah.
You don't have to, like, so you can truly draw. Chi Alpha has many campuses, but our campus, our ministry, we did not.
Right.
Does that answer that too?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't speak to any other campuses. I can't speak to that no one knew about this, and as soon as anyone knew that things were happening, they did distance, for sure. But yeah. Does that help? Any other questions about any of this?
If you don't have a question right at this second, and you have some later, please tell us.
Yeah.
Grace is here for mine. I know any of us are
Yeah.
very glad to sit and talk with you and answer your questions and listen to your concerns. We're not trying to hide there is nothing we have to hide. So we're glad to talk to any of you anytime. You don't have to have a question right this second.
Yeah.
Anytime you do, here we are.
Yeah, and if you get a question, you don't know how to respond to it, please don't hesitate to reach out about that as well. Like if someone asks you something and you're not sure what to do with it or how to respond to it, like we're here for you. Absolutely. Okay. Cool. Let's go ahead and pray and we can move forward.